Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a very special Happiness Is podcast with me, your host, Bruce Aitchison from Happiness Is Egg-Shaped, to highlight the fantastic work of Samurai Rugby. And I am joined by the one and only Terry Sands, the godfather, the creator, and the minder of all things Samurai. Terry, fantastic to see you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And thanks for hosting the series. Really appreciate it, Bruce.
I'm really looking forward to it. Samurai is something I've been involved in for a while, and I absolutely love it. It is such a fantastic organisation. How did it kick off?
Well, I won't bore you too much, but yeah, so we started in 1996 at the Amsterdam Sevens, the 25th anniversary of the Amsterdam Sevens. We was asked to put a team in. Hadn't really been involved in too much sevens myself. I'd been to the Rugby World Cup in South Africa, and I'd watched New Zealand absolutely thump Japan, 100 odd points to 5 or 7, whatever it was. And I couldn't believe how Japan were playing sevens instead of 15s, and it was just fantastic to watch. They just wanted to run the ball from everywhere. And when I was asked to put a team together in the Amsterdam Sevens, it kind of just resonated with me. So, how Japan played and obviously what they stand for themselves. So, yeah, the Samurai was born.
And Samurai Sevens 1996, a very different beast from Samurai Sevens now. What was it like putting that team together?
Yeah, it was predominantly a Welsh side, actually. I obviously had quite a few contacts in the game, and a couple of years earlier, I'd been out to the Lisbon Sevens, and I'd watched a team called the Wild Water Buffaloes in the Lisbon Sevens, and Mike Friday was playing, Mike Boys was playing, and I'd obviously had a few beers with those guys, as you do, and had a fantastic time. Shared lots of banter, especially with Geezer, with Mike Friday, and we had kind of similar banter, and we hit it off. And and Mikey Boys, who was the captain of the Wild Water Buffaloes at the time, and I started talking to him and said, let's put a team together. And we come up, and it was predominantly a Welsh side, actually. So we had Martin Williams playing for us, who was known as the Future back then. Chris Wyatt. It's making me feel so old, this, talking about that, when you think about Martin Williams as being the Future in 1996. So it was predominantly a Welsh team, but we just had lots and lots of fun and really enjoyed ourselves. And surprised, really. But yeah, we won the tournament.
And why sevens? Why is that so special to you?
I think it was almost as though it was meant to be, because I've played 15s for many, many, many years. I'm a bit of an old so-and-so now, and hadn't really had much to do with sevens. And then, of course, I'd gone out on holiday to Lisbon, watched that sevens then, and everything progressed from there, and everything kind of slotted in. And I absolutely loved it in Amsterdam when I was out there. Loved seeing all the young players mixed with the old players and see all their kind of skill sets, and it was just fantastic. And when I come back, we started to get invites from all over the place. You know what the sevens fraternity is. We all go to these tournaments, and we watch players and we watch teams, and we're all excited by it. And we started to get invitations all over the place. And so suddenly I thought, well, yeah, let's do a couple more tournaments. And then in '97, I think we done 2 tournaments. Went back to the Amsterdam Sevens, and then even more invites started to flood in. So and now I think we're talking about 15 or 16 tournaments this year. Most years has been an average of 8 or 9 tournaments. So it's just grown and grown and grown. And I think probably after 2 or 3 years of us being involved, I could see how much young talent there was out there, and young talent that was going unnoticed, kind of back in the day when it was largely amateur, when everybody could get released to play for sevens. And yeah, I started getting a kind of a committee of guys involved. Mike Friday was obviously involved heavily, and it all started to kind of slot together. Really, it wasn't actually planned, but then we found how many youngsters there were out there that weren't really getting a stage to perform on and weren't getting noticed. And we thought, well, what a fantastic mission for us to be able to, invite players to play, players that have not been seen, and put them at kind of in a shop window, so to speak. And then that obviously happened from probably 97 onwards, 98 onwards. And then, of course, we really started to enjoy it and get into things, and we loved it all the more that we started to see the players progress, and then we got all the more excited, and we started to put a few scouts together, and I started to spend my weekends, or certainly Sundays, looking at players and so on, and we started to invite more players at more tournaments, and it just got bigger and bigger, and of course you've seen what we've achieved. It's been fantastic what we've achieved over the years, and when we look at just how many players that we've sometimes introduced to the game, because sometimes they've been not ideal. Sorry, guys. Sometimes they've been introduced to the game from 15s and hadn't really played sevens, and then some of them have become kind of masters at sevens. I mean, Mark Bright is a big example. Hadn't really played any sevens. Look at him now, 45, 44 years of age. Hadn't really played much sevens, but obviously played at a fantastic level.
And he just keeps going, Brighty. Just keeps going.
And he just keeps going. And he hadn't played much sevens, played for us, and was outstanding in the tournaments that he played for us. And then, got noticed by England, and suddenly playing for England sevens. So that was a typical example, really. And then, of course, there was also, Andy Powell, when kind of Andy Powell was pretty much finished in 15s, and pretty much finished with Cardiff. We heard he was finished and thought he could do a job, and we invited him to the Amsterdam sevens. Got man of the tournament. Then he got asked suddenly by Wales sevens the following week to go out to Germany in the qualifiers. Suddenly he was a sevens player, and then of course he played in those sevens tournaments, and then come back and got offered new contracts, got involved with Wales again, and then he was a British Lion. So just fantastic, some of the things that have happened that were not really planned. I cannot promise you that, but it's being in the right place at the right time and taking up opportunities that are offered you, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. And Samurai, like the Barbarians, like some of these, you don't have a home, but your home is just where you gather people together and give them a chance to get on.
Yeah, our home is wherever the tournament is, really, and yeah, we rarely gather anything more than 2-3 days before a tournament. But of course, we have kind of made some countries and some tournaments our own. Amsterdam certainly as kind of where we were founded. So we've always done Amsterdam. We've not missed any Amsterdam tournaments. But yeah, Safari Sevens, when we go out to Kenya, we kind of make that our home, and and even when we've been up to Edinburgh, Bruce, as you well know, because you've helped us as well, then suddenly Scotland becomes our home, and in Wales, when we've going back in the day when we played at the Cwmtawi Sevens, wherever we play, that's our home.
And the players are desperate to play for Samurai. Everybody knows the word's out. If somebody's in a changing room in a club game and they've played for Samurai, all their mates are saying, how did you get that? How did you get on? What was it like? Who were you with? How wide is the Samurai net?
Well, I mean, it's huge. I mean, if you go back last Commonwealth Games, there was 77 players that we had in the Commonwealth Games that had kind of come through our pathway. We had, I think there was 30 players at the 2020 World Series. You look at the amount of players that we've had that have come through, and that were at the Olympics in Rio. 17 players were medal winners. And when you start to look at that, it really does make you see, 38 we've had players from 38 different countries that have represented Samurai, and we've got fantastic relationships with most of those countries as well. So it's a great achievement. And when you sit and look and see what we've done, and we've got a committee because we are a rugby club. We are an actual rugby club that's affiliated to the Rugby Football Union, and we run it as a rugby club as much as we possibly can. So we have a committee. But I mean, every week we get emails and WhatsApp messages from people, and how can I play for Samurai, which is a fantastic thing for us. And yeah, we look at them and we do our research, but we always try and give people a chance if they want to play for us. And up until weekend before last, this year being our 25th anniversary, 25 years of Samurai, we'd looked at 82 players across 3 teams, across 4 tournaments. So it just goes to show you what we're all about, really. And there's a lot of youngsters there that have played for our academy that we are absolutely sure are going to go on and play for their countries and represent their countries,
There's no way Terry Sands in 1996 could possibly have predicted all of that has come in the next 25 years. You started off just wanting to give people a chance to play rugby. What's moved on in those 25 years?
Well, obviously, we've got the professional game now, haven't we? So it is harder to get some players released, although we're quite lucky that we've got these relationships that I mentioned just now. And the standard has definitely increased, and I think generally, going back 25 years ago, sevens was probably 90% just about the touring and about the banter and about the beers. And I think that's shifted a little bit now. There is obviously still a fair bit of that, and it is important. That side of the game is important because everybody's relaxed and enjoying themselves and they're kind of flourishing on the pitch. But certainly things have been taken a bit more seriously since the World Sevens series has come about. People have got more aspirations now. And you can actually see that by the amount of players that come to us. Some of them have come out of 15s where they think that they're not going to make it in 15s, but they want to have a shot at sevens. So you can see how things have progressed and developed over the years. And yes, it is still all about the fun, but it is kind of a lot more professional than it used to be back in the day, as we say.
And in those 25 years, one of the other big additions has been how important the women's game is, and Samurai have played a huge part in developing and giving women a chance to play sevens.
We have, yeah, and a similar kind of thing happened, really. We were asked to put a team in Amsterdam Sevens and a women's team when they started the women's tournament, and I was a bit shocked for a moment there because I have to admit that I didn't know too much about women's rugby, but I started researching it pretty well, and I found that there was some bloody good women rugby players out there that were actually really good. And I met Rachel Burford many years ago through a friend, and she was quite a character herself. And we started chatting and said, how about putting a team together? And we'd actually. For a friend of mine that adopted the kind of Samurai name for a tournament, they went out to the Dubai Sevens about 3 or 4 years before that, around 99, I think it was. And then I think it was in 2020, Rachel and I spoke and we said, let's put a team in to the Amsterdam Sevens. And we did. And we went out there and we put a really good team together. Rachel obviously helped a lot with the selection because I've got to be honest, I didn't really know too much about what I was doing. I know a lot more now, obviously. And we put a team in, and again we won it. And then that year we went to the Rome Sevens. We done the Dubai Sevens, and we progressed, with the women's side of things as well. And again, a lot of the women that had played for us went through and started to represent their country. So it was like a mirror of what we've done with the men, which was fantastic. And it was exactly what we wanted to do. And of course, over the last couple of years, we've been involved on the Super Sevens series, which now has a women's competition as well. So been fantastic. Yeah, we've been able to match what we did with the men, really.
And this is now 25 years. What sort of things are you doing to mark 25 years in these strange circumstances we find ourselves in when it's difficult to gather? How are you marking the 25th year of Samurai Rugby?
Well, you know, we had big plans for the Amsterdam Sevens, but you know, in the 25th year, but it wasn't to be. And of course, that was also going to be the Amsterdam Sevens 50th year. So that's kind of put off till next year for the Amsterdam and for Samurai. But we have been kind of celebrating this year. We wanted to put 2 teams in the Super 7 series this year, to give even more players a chance, so that we could look at even more players and put them on a stage. And it's kind of come back and bit us in the bum a little bit, because our Barracudas team, which we shouldn't really say it, but I suppose you'd say it's more a development team than the actual Samurai RSC team. And yeah, they kicked our asses last weekend in the quarterfinal, and they went through to the final and got narrowly beat by the Army. But so this year we wanted to have 2 teams in the Super 7 series, and we've obviously achieved that. Don't know where that's going to take us. Obviously, the final is this weekend, the final leg of the 4-leg series. So we'll see. We're just about ahead at the moment, with the Army and Jesters, Speranza closely behind us. So we'll see where that takes us. But we're also doing the Colorado Sevens, the Rugby Town Sevens in Denver. So we're going out to do that. And yeah, we're hopefully going to have a little bit of a celebration, and there's a few people going out to that as well. And then later on in the year, there'll be the Safari Sevens, we hope, and certainly the Dubai Sevens. So they're the kind of 3 main overseas tournaments. But the Super 7 series has meant a lot to us this year, because at least we knew we were going to be able to play that. We've in these kind of unprecedented times, we didn't know what tournament's going to be called off next. So we kind of focused on the Super 7 series, knowing we'd be able to play in the UK this year. And we also thought it'd be a great opportunity to do what we do well, and put as many players in there as we possibly can, and give them a stage to play and showcase their talents. And that's what we've done so far.
And over that 25 years, you've had so many people involved, difficult to pick out individuals, but you've already mentioned Mike Friday's been there since the beginning. He's now headed off to Japan. How much has Mike Friday meant to Samurai Rugby?
He's meant a huge lot to us. And we've known each other for a very, very long time. Obviously, I was team manager of England Sevens when he was coach of England. And you know, we've travelled a fair bit together, and you know, I never forget Mike Friday. We was in the Lisbon Sevens, and he came out to coach, and he was just coming towards the end of his career, and we ended up getting to the final, and we had some really good players playing for us, you know, but we got to the final, and suddenly we've got the Serevi captained Penguins with you know, like a world Sevens team, and we had a couple of injuries, and we thought, oh, that, you know, we've got to have some sort of team to beat Serevi, and the way they were performing, they were beating everybody, and we'd lost a few players, and Mike Friday just popped up. I'll play Sandsy. Get me some boots. So there we was. We goes into the final, brings him in, as you do. You could bring players in back in the day, and he went out there and played. And to be honest, he made Serevi's life hell. I'm not sure whether Serevi could understand what he was saying, but there was a lot of in that final. And that's a fantastic memory. And Mike Friday, he's now kind of chairman of Samurai RFC, and you know, we speak probably via WhatsApp every few weeks. And no, he's been fantastic. I think he's probably one of, if not the best Sevens coaches in the world, and I think he's shown that wherever he's been. And he's a great character, a great man manager, a great coach, a great friend.
Yeah, the two of you have done a huge amount for Sevens Rugby, and we've spoken a lot about players, but developing coaches has been a huge part of what Samurai have done for the game as well.
Yes, it has. We've kind of been able to identify young, aspiring coaches over the years, and sometimes players, coaches that maybe never expected to get to where they've got to, but and then others that had a very, very clear focus on what their goals and aspirations were, and they set about it at an early stage. Tim Walsh is one. He played a tremendous amount of times for us. And then when he'd finished playing, he said, "Sandsy, I want to get involved with coaching." And we had Mike Friday kind of mentoring Walshy, and we were putting them together in the teams. And you've obviously seen what Tim Walsh has achieved. Been fantastic. And Damien McGrath has coached with us, and there's so many when we think about what they've gone on to achieve. And obviously, Mike Friday was with us a lot in the early days, but we've had some fantastic coaches. Neil Powell, when he was at the start of his coaching career, was coached us in a tournament in South Africa. And the list goes on, and we're all very, very proud. We're a real kind of family. It's we use that hashtag Samurai Family, but it's very, very true. And most people that get involved with us really do feel that we're a family. And we've got some tremendous support staff that have been with us, and managers and physios that have all give their time up for nothing. And done a fantastic job. Look, yourself, Bruce, you've helped us out, and we've had Harkey, Fraser Harkness, who's a law unto himself, a real character, and we've had a lot of characters involved with the Samurai family, which has been great. Nick Wakely now, who's coaching us, and so many that I could sit here all day talking to you about. So many names of so many characters that have gone and done so well and done so much for Samurai. And I personally am really grateful, but I think so are all the players that have progressed on our kind of developmental pathway, and that have gone on to achieve great things. And some of them are out there in the Olympics right now as we speak.
Where's the strangest place you were when somebody tapped you on the shoulder and a member of the Samurai family was there to say, "All right, Terry"?
I actually think that would probably have been Lusaka, when somebody tapped us on the shoulder and said, Samurai Sevens, I've heard all about you. And then suddenly, we're involved, and people in East Africa are talking to us, and it's just amazing how things just progress. And you come back, and you know what Sevens is like and what rugby is like. Suddenly you've got a friend for life living in Lusaka, or it's amazing. And of course, we've been out Cayman Islands, we've played out there, played in New York, we've played everywhere, and we've got so many friends worldwide. But yeah, it's been great, and long may it continue. Although I am struggling a bit now to get to all the games with my bad knees and bad neck from playing for so long. But long may it continue. We've got a great group of people involved that will take it on, I'm sure, long after I've finished.
I'm not sure you're ever going to finish, Terry. So what does the future hold? Look into your crystal ball. What does the future hold for Samurai Rugby?
I honestly think more of the same. We want to help out more with the women. The women's game is progressing, and I think that's going to be something that we want to get more involved with, and start to have a few more women's tournaments. I think we've got to say more of the same, because even though the game has gone professional, we're now actually able to find players on that stage, and on that pathway that we're giving them. We're able to find players that sometimes their countries haven't even heard of them. So yeah, I think we're just going to continue as we are. And I think we've seen this year that there's an awful lot of young kids that haven't played rugby for 17, 18 months. And I think it's terrible that, obviously none of us wanted this to happen. But now to get them back and see the looks on their faces and seeing them progress after 1 or 2 tournaments and just love to have that ball in their hands, it really does give you a good feeling. So, yeah, we want more of the same.
I've got absolutely no doubt it's going to continue. Terry Sands from Samurai Rugby, I really appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to the Samurai series of podcasts, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you on a touchline somewhere very, very soon.
Hopefully in Edinburgh in a few weeks, Bruce. Thanks very much. And yeah, thanks for agreeing to do this little series on Samurai.
Awesome. Thanks, Terry. All the best. I'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you. Bye.